Well, welcome to the Economics Symposium at Elizabethtown College. My name is Sanjay Paul. I'm an Associate Professor of Economics at the college. So the topic for the symposium today is the economic outlook, the United States and the global economy. This is a particularly fitting time to discuss this subject. On the one hand, Washington is squabbling over things like sequestration, but on the other, Seth MacFarlane managed to deliver the coveted 18 to 49-year-old audience at the Oscars. So that is good news. Which one is more important for the economic outlook? Well, that remains to be seen. We have a distinguished panel today to talk on this subject. The panel, by design, is diverse. Our panelists come from academia, from the world of wealth management, and international finance and lending. So we should have an interesting array of perspectives on the subject on hand. We are also thankful to have Jim Schreiner as the moderator. Jim is Senior Executive Vice President and Senior Administrative Services Officer of Fulton Financial Corporation. He serves on the boards of various organizations and has been involved with fundraising campaigns for the United Way and the Fulton Opera House. Jim is a graduate of the Advanced Management Program at Duke University. But before that, he earned his bachelor's in business administration from Elizabethtown College. And he now serves as the chairman of the board of trustees of the college. So you never know, perhaps one day, one of you sitting here. Jim has been a strong proponent of celebrating ideas at the college, and in particular in the Department of Business. Last year, he was deeply involved with the program to bring Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel laureate, to campus, serving as the moderator of a panel on corporate social responsibility. And now this year, Jim has been instrumental in organizing this session. Without his assistance, today's panel would be at least 33% smaller, perhaps even 50% smaller. So I'm deeply grateful for his support of intellectual endeavors in the department. The program for today is as follows. Jim will introduce the panelists. Then each panelist will speak for about 20 minutes. There should be ample time for Q&A, and we should conclude by 12:30 p.m. Jim?
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here with all of you today, and I think back as being part of the trustees here at Elizabethtown College, my favorite times are not dealing with your CFO, Rick Bailey. My favorite times are coming back to see you guys and what we're all about, which is trying to deliver the best education we can to the new generation of leaders that are being developed to take over and to correct all of our failures that we've been involved with over the years, as well as to build on the successes we've had. I graduated from Elizabethtown back in 1973, when all of you weren't even a dream yet in anybody's eyes. But at that time, we were dealing with different issues in the 70s. But the problems seemed just as big as what we're dealing with today. And it's just the circumstances change, the settings change, but the basis of all of these problems usually are the same basis. And even if we look back to the bubble of back in 2008 that built up through the five, we've gone through many of those types of ups and downs in the economy. This one was much more painful to a particular segment of our economy, but nevertheless, the understanding of how those types of scenarios develop and how you deal with them, and hopefully you all in the future can figure out better ways to understand those kind of bubbles earlier and actually have the courage and the discipline to deal with them. And certainly the big one that I'm sure is going to be talked about a lot today is the federal deficit and what that means. And in its own way, that is a bubble that's being developed, that's getting bigger and bigger every day. And at some point, it's going to cause a lot greater issues than we have today if it's not dealt with. Similarly, pension plans. That's a big problem across all governments today, especially at the local and the state governments. One of the big issues that our Pennsylvania state government is dealing with. And for years and years, these types of situations are kicked down the road and not dealt with because of political realities or for other reasons. And what we need is a generation of leaders that are really willing to sit down and really make tough decisions, which is very hard to do in our political environment. Today, we are very fortunate to have a diverse group of people with us to talk about some of the issues we're faced with. And I think, as Sanjay said, it's a great mix of people that are coming from a very different background in how they view what's unfolding in the economic environment. The first gentleman I get to work with a lot at Fulton Financial Corp, and he is our Chief Investment Officer within our Wealth Management Division, Keith Aliardi. And he sets our investment strategy and helps individuals manage their wealth accounts. So I think he'll bring a lot of expertise to you. And he does a lot of public speaking in the areas of the economy and capital markets, and is on many quoted in newspaper and TV ads. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from USinus College and holds a master's degree in banking and finance from Boston University. And he is a designated chartered financial analyst. In addition to Keith, we have one of your own here today that you know better than any of us, Dmitry Khrushchevsky, professor here at Elizabethtown College. And he told me he's finishing up his second year, and we're really glad for him to be part of our faculty here at the college. And he has his PhD from Florida International University. And his specialties, as many of you know, is in the area of microeconomics and entrepreneurship. And then last, we have Haran Under here to speak about fiscal policy in an older world and aging gracefully. And I can tell you that I've been working for Fulton for 38 years, and the last 5 years, I've aged much more than I did in the first 34 years of my career, because the issues have been very challenging for our industry in particular, and we've had to do a lot of creative management to get through some of these issues. And we don't like to talk about the word bailout, because in our case, we never looked at it as a bailout, although it certainly was for some organizations. But we looked at it as providing stability to the banking industry and getting us through a crisis, a liquidity crisis. And so we were part of that, but we're one of the people that paid that money back, and we paid a huge interest rate to the government. And for those of us who paid back, it was a tremendous investment on the part of the government, because they did very, very well in the money that they gave. It wasn't a freebie. Now, did it cost the taxpayer something? I think from a banking industry standpoint, it did not. If you factor in some of the insurance company where they were affected, as well as the auto industry and some of them, then I think in total the government, it did cost the taxpayers some amount of money. But for the banking part of it, and it's not over yet, but so far, from a banking perspective, it was a good investment for the part of the banking. But in the political circles, you never hear about that. So let's talk about some of these issues as we go. The real important, as always, is your questions. So we really want to hear from your question from you. And we're going to save those to the end so that we can do it in an informal setting, and each of our panelists can have a chance to address a particular question. But please, if you want to address your question to somebody specific, make sure you identify them in your question at the end, or if you want it to be more of a group discussion related to your question, we can handle it that way. So with that, I'm going to call on Keith to talk about the current economic landscape. Investors beware.